Hey, welcome to Retired Now What, the podcast that's here to guide you through the exciting journey of retirement. Whether you're asking yourself now what or eager to explore the untapped possibilities in this new chapter, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Michael Kiffmeyer, and together we will discover how to repurpose your knowledge, embrace mastery, and live a purpose driven life. Let's dive in. Hey, welcome to You've Retired, Now What? Our topic today is retiring early. I did some research and I learned that Google found in January of 2024 their searches for people worldwide that wanted to retire was up 1,400%. What's going on? Well, it's pretty simple what's going on. Number one, people are just burned out. Number two, we went through a pandemic in 2021 22 that really had people readjust their thinking. And they're saying, life's too short. There's things that I wanted to do in this life. I got a bucket list and I'm nowhere close to fulfilling those desires that I have for myself. Why did that happen? Plain and simple. You were working too much. I know when I worked at corporate America, there were 80 and 100-hour work weeks. Am I crazy? No, that's just what it took. If you're going to be responsible for major corporations globally, there was a lot of work to do. And back then, we didn't have such things as personal assistants, etc. It was all on you. And you wanted to do a good job, you liked the income, but you finally got to that point, you said, you know what, this is not worth it. People are retiring early not only because of that, they don't feel fulfilled in what they did. It was, they felt like they were like a hamster on a wheel or a cog in a machine, and their work wasn't really appreciated outside of the paycheck. People are watching companies lay people off left and right. After several years of going through that, and I went through that myself, you get tired of that. You get tired of having to go look for a new job every 5 years. You want some stability. You want to be able to stay there, whatever the organization is. Recently, my sister, she was laid off after 30 years simply because they sold the company and they were downsizing, um, yada yada yada. We've heard the story before, but it's that here she is at 63 years old and she's not ready to retire, nor can they afford it. What does she do now? Well, uh, she's very good at being a resource specialist. She kind of was an operations manager for this organization, so her work skills are going to be in high demand. I have no doubt about that. However, there's many older workers that one of the reasons they retire, they simply cannot find a job. They do and they've done everything they were told to do, and they've come up with zero. They're frustrated. Just like many of the young people are frustrated right now, they're having a hard time finding work. This pandemic did more than just make things inconvenient for us. It changed the face of the work world. And one of the hardest things people do, or one of the hardest things to get them to do, is to change. People like steady and even. They like they like that they can depend on things, and more people than not now are starting to find out the corporation or the organization is not the answer. So we're kind of going back to what we did before we had formalized retirement. Uh, we're trying to work on our own and do things that we want to do. So other reasons why people are trying to retire, they're feeling very unfulfilled. They've been doing something, they're very good at it, but it doesn't fulfill them any longer. And they want to look on to something new. They want to pursue something new. What is it I can do? What is it that all these years I've got all these skills? What can I do? Many people feel like life is passing them by. That I worked all these years and I've done all these things. And here I am at 70 years old, maybe 72 years old, and I'm feeling very unfulfilled. I've retired, but I need a sense of purpose. Or as the Japanese call it, they need ikigai. In Japan, ikigai is something that their culture practices from the time they were young. Ikigai to the Japanese means a sense of purpose. A sense of purpose of why do I get up out of that bed in the morning? What am I going to do to put one foot in front of the other? Why am I here? And what's my sense of purpose? Many Christians, such as myself, we look upon it as what does God want me to do? What is God's work for me? And how can I best serve Him? And if you're not Christian, even in various other religions that I've studied, it's how can I serve whoever I look upon to myself as my higher power. Folks are looking for meaning in their life. Folks are looking for, as I said before, and I don't mean to repeat myself, they're looking for a sense of purpose. Why am I here? What am I doing? What is the best next steps for me? People that retire early, well, they've done really well and they're financially secure. I have a best friend, Gary, and Gary retired at 58. Gary was a corporate lawyer, and Gary taught himself how to be his own financial planner. And he didn't want to do this for others. He wanted to do it for he and his wife. So why did he do it? Well, Gary often told me, he says, you know, Mike, there's a lot of people that like to work. I'm not one of them. And at 58 years old, Gary retired. He keeps himself busy today because although he lives in the Midwest, he's got a condo in Florida, and he travels back and forth when the weather's bad. He travels with his wife all over the world. He volunteers. So Gary's not sitting and letting a lot of moss grow underneath him. He keeps moving on a regular basis. Many people daydream about retirement, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with daydreaming about retirement. But you really got to ask some deep-seated questions. If you're going to retire early or retire at all, what does that really mean? Okay, and you need, just like when you were striving and when you first went to work and you were looking for what's my career going to look like, what is it I want to do, you need to do the same thing in retirement. Remember, it's not age, it's stage. This is another stage of your life. And don't try to live this stage like you might have done in the past. And what I mean by that is in the past, if you're anything like me, you let others tell you what you were all about. You know what you're all about. You know what gets you up, what gets you excited, what you might have a passion about. You need to pursue that over and over again. So one of the other reasons people retire early is the fact that they might have some physical challenges. And more importantly, they might be taking care of parents that have physical challenges. You know, the nursing homes, they're not providing the kind of care that they once did. And if they did, they've gotten to be cost prohibitive. You know, one of the things that we don't count on a whole lot, even though we have financial analysts and planners tell us, we don't count on the rate of inflation. And many people, myself included, have lost a lot of money the past 2 or 3 years in their retirement fund for no other reason, inflation. So how are you going to make that up? Or do you want to make that up? Or are you going to let people just, take your money and you don't worry about it? I think not. I think more people than not are going to plan for it. And if they don't have a complete plan, they're going to reverse their jets and they're going to do something about it now. You know, you can do a lot of things. You don't have to go, even though you retired from one job, you don't have to go to another job full time. Social Security might run out, and you got to keep planning on that. I don't think Social Security is going to run out. I think that's a lot of things that politicians talk about to scare us into raising our taxes. But what if it happened? And you always got to plan for the worst and accept what goes great and what brings you happiness. So if you're going to retire early, I guess probably my biggest message to you, it's not nirvana. It still takes work even to retire. My wife and I both retired, and she's got a great pension, and but I have, we have retirement income together, but I have that itch to, there's more that I can give. I've been a teacher since I was younger, and taught in public schools, and it kind of amazes me once I got into technology and education, how I've kind of come full circle. And I would implore you to look over your life and see, if you've done something like that. If there's something you used to do and you don't do now, and you really look at yourself in the mirror, you say, why'd I give that up? That brought me great joy. I want you to reach for your joy, because this life was meant to be enjoyable. I want to thank you for listening today, and I want you to reach out if I can help you in any way. If you have friends or relatives or colleagues that you think might benefit from this podcast, please make sure that you pass it along. I'll be on here weekly. Right now, I'm scheduled for every Wednesday that I'm releasing my podcast. And what I'd like to hear most from all of you that are listening, what would you like to hear? What topic would you like me to cover? Because I don't know if I've shared this with you, but marketers have kind of ignored older Americans, and they've ignored them to a tune of the over 60-65 group globally represents a $22 trillion industry. And here in the United States, it's about an $8.3 trillion industry. That's a lot of buying power. And older adults, especially here in the United States, we have more buying power than the younger generation. So if something interests you, I like to encourage you to invest in yourself. You've invested in others and done what everybody else has asked you to do. Now let's invest in yourself, and let's reach for whatever dreams that you have never reached yet. And it's kind of like your bucket list. If you have a bucket list, then let's start digging those items out of that bucket list, and let's put a time frame to when you want to accomplish it, and let's put let's reach those goals. Let's think about what can I do to make sure this happens at this certain time. I appreciate all of you. I thank you very much for listening, and let me know your thoughts, and I thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Retired Now What. I hope today's conversation has given you some valuable insights as you navigate the journey of life after retirement. Always remember, life doesn't stop after retirement. It's an opportunity for a new beginning.